Okay, let's take a trip way back in time. We're talking over 4,000 years ago to a civilization that built cities so incredibly advanced, they almost feel like they were designed today. This is the story of the Indus Valley Civilization, and it's a story written not in giant stone monuments, but in something much more practical: brick and water. And this right here is the whole point. In an age of enormous palaces and towering temples built only for the powerful, the people of the Indus Valley did something truly revolutionary. They focused on civic life. They actually engineered cities for public order, for health, and for general well-being. This was a blueprint for living together on a scale the world had just never seen before. So how on earth did they pull this off thousands of years ago? Well, it all started with a really simple but profoundly powerful idea: the grid. What you're seeing here is a tale of two totally different approaches to building a city. On one side, you've got cities like those in Mesopotamia, which just grew. They were organic, kind of messy, with narrow, winding streets. But on the other side, you have Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. These cities were planned from the very beginning, laid out with wide, straight main streets, creating this precise grid. It's really the difference between a random path someone wears through a field and a modern superhighway. This huge master plan was basically split into two parts. You had a smaller, elevated area called the Citadel, that was probably for major public buildings, and then a much, much larger lower town where everybody lived. But how did they build it all so perfectly? Well, the answer is in that humble little thing you see on the right: the humble brick. But believe me, this was their secret weapon. See, unlike other places that used sun-dried mud bricks, these were fired in a kiln, which made them incredibly durable. And here's the genius part: every single brick followed a perfect 1:2:4 ratio. This standardization, used across cities 600 kilometers apart, meant construction was fast, strong, and uniform. It points to a level of coordination that is just mind-boggling for the time. So you have this grand, orderly structure. But what did that actually mean for the average person? What was it like to live your daily life on this ancient grid? Well, their most jaw-dropping achievement wasn't some huge monument you could see for miles. Nope. It was something hidden right under their feet: a citywide sanitation system that no other Bronze Age civilization even came close to. And it all started at home. Even regular houses had their own drains that fed directly into a larger citywide network. Think about that. This wasn't a luxury for the rich. It was a public utility for pretty much everyone. It shows that public health was a priority right down to the household level. So from the houses, the wastewater flowed into covered drains that ran alongside the main streets. And covering them? Such a simple but absolutely brilliant move to keep the city clean, cut down on the smell, and just generally promote public hygiene. And get this, they didn't just build it and forget it. They built it to be maintained. They actually included inspection holes so the whole system could be cleaned out and kept running smoothly. That's incredible foresight, designing not just for construction, but for long-term function. And while they were total experts at getting dirty water away, they were just as good at providing clean water. In Mohenjo-Daro alone, archaeologists estimate there were around 700 wells. 700! That's just an extraordinary number, making sure that everyone had access to fresh, clean water. The houses themselves were just marvels of practical design. They were often 2 stories tall, and they were usually built around a private central courtyard, which was great for bringing in light and air. They also didn't have many windows facing the main street, so they clearly valued privacy. And as we've seen, so many of them had their own private bathrooms and even their own wells. All right, so now let's head up to that elevated part of the city we mentioned, the Citadel. This wasn't where a king lived in a giant palace. This was the city's administrative and civic heart, and it was home to some of the most important public buildings. And this quote really just nails what made them so different. Their biggest, most impressive projects weren't for gods or kings, but for things everyone could use: sanitation, food storage, and public gathering places. Their priorities were clearly focused on the community. And the most iconic structure on the entire Citadel is this: the Great Bath at Mohenjo-Daro. This is what's left of it today, which, is a testament to how well it was built over 4,000 years ago. But an artist's reconstruction like this one really helps us imagine its original grandeur. You can see it was a truly stunning piece of public architecture, probably the centerpiece of the city's ceremonial life. Yeah, this was no simple swimming pool. It was a meticulously engineered structure, about 12 meters long, 7 meters wide, lined with perfectly fitted bricks, and then sealed with natural tar to make it completely waterproof. Most scholars believe it wasn't for just taking a dip. It was used for important ritual or ceremonial bathing. And nearby, we find the foundations of other enormous structures, granaries. These were basically huge storehouses for grain, and they were built with clever features like raised floors and air vents to protect the city's food supply from dampness and pests. So when you put it all together, the Great Bath, the greeneries, you get a picture of a highly organized society. It shows us they had a government capable of managing critical resources like food and water on a massive scale. And it was all in service of the community. But here's the thing. For all of their incredible planning, all their foresight, this civilization just disappeared. A society that had absolutely mastered the art of building cities for the long haul suddenly vanished, leaving behind one of history's great unsolved mysteries. You know, there are a lot of theories. Maybe the rivers they relied on changed course or dried up. It's possible that cutting down so many trees to bake all those bricks led to an environmental collapse. There could have been terrible floods, or maybe the government just lost control. The truth is, no single theory seems to explain why all these great cities were just abandoned. Which leaves us with a final and pretty fascinating question. Here was a civilization that, millennia ago, put public health, clean water, and civic order right at the very center of their design. As we face all of our own urban challenges today, you just have to wonder, what can we still learn from